Welcome, everyone. This webinar is about managing a project sales pipeline in Microsoft Project Operations. Project Operations is one of the latest project management tools from the Microsoft suite of collaboration and office productivity tools. Project Operations in particular serves the purpose of enabling organizations that need to do professional services for other companies or even internal business units who need to provide services to other business units. It enables them to track and effectively manage the operations of those projects and the resources that are working on those projects, keeping track of things like schedule, costs, identifying and understanding what resources are working on what projects. This is the main goal of Project Operations. In this particular webinar, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to show the process of working through the project sales pipeline up to the point where we are ready to kick off our project. And with that, I'm going to turn over things to Sarah Noyce, who's going to take us through this experience.
Thank you, John Michael. Today, I will be showing a demonstration on how to manage a services sales pipeline from lead all the way into contract. So let's imagine that I have a lead that that has come in from a marketing outreach. So what I want to do as part of my sales process is to register my lead in the CRM. I'll do that by creating a new lead on this lead screen here. And so I'm wanting to collect the appropriate information in this area. And so I've gotten this information about a data analysis and design project. And because it is a project-based lead, we want to make type work-based. Great. The other thing I know about this, lead is that it comes from someone named John Smith. And so I want to make sure that we have him in here as the contact on this lead, and we make sure that we know who we're talking about. So great, that's the information I have right now. So let's save this. And let's say we do some sort of actions on this lead, such as maybe I want to note down some activity that happened, perhaps a phone call that I had with John about this project, or a note. Maybe I'm communicating to other salespeople as well. So I want to put some notes and make sure that we have these. So that's just some of the things you can have in this timeline here. As well as stakeholders, if you have contacts that you want to put down, and competitors. There's also more information about the company that John Smith is part of and that this lead is part of. The other thing we can look at is in details. You can add lots more information. Maybe because we got this from a marketing lead, you could put in the source campaign and make sure you note down how they want to be contacted. Great. So if you look up here, we have a lead to opportunity process. And I know that John is not an existing contact, so I don't have that in the system already, but I do know that the company, which is City, let's see if it pops up here, City Power and Light Assembly, perfect, is already in here. So I'm going to add this account into this section under Qualify. The purchase time frame is going to be this quarter. Let's say I don't know the estimated budget. We can leave this blank for now. Same thing with the purchase process. Maybe I don't know this. Just mark that down. However, I do know the decision maker is this John contact. You can also add in more information here in the summary section. Great. Now that I've added the information to this and we've looked through the different summary and details tabs, we can qualify this lead as an opportunity. I'm going to click this button, Qualify, and it's going to create a new opportunity for me from this lead. I should also get a contact from this John Smith person that I've put in here, and the account already exists that I put in earlier. Perfect. You'll see that it has the same ribbon up here as before, but now we've gone from the qualify stage into the develop stage, and we are also in an opportunity. So this is no longer a lead. I've qualified it into an opportunity. And a lot of the information has been taken from that lead that I had before. If we go down here a little bit, we can enter in that budget amount if we maybe know it now. We can also enter in a probability. Let's say this is going to be pretty low for right now and just 5%. You can also enter in a rating, hot, warm, cold. It defaults to warm and you can just keep it as that for now. And we can also enter in a description. So you can see that I have not saved this yet, and I did enter in some more information. So just to make sure that we have this, I'm going to hit save up here. Great. And now you can see that the stakeholders, which we'd seen over in lead, but was not filled in yet because John Smith was not a contact yet, we now have him as a stakeholder here. If there are multiple people on the sales team as well, we could add that here into the sales team section. One thing to note on the opportunity is it says who the owner is, and because I am in the service account, it says that for now. But if you don't want the person who created the opportunity to be the owner, you can change that by going into this section and putting in a new person. Great. So now we're in this develop stage, and let's just take a look at what this means. And this process ribbon helps me to remember what I need to do next in the sales process. So now I'm developing this opportunity. If I wanted to enter in more details about customer need and proposed solution, I can do so here. I have identified the stakeholders over here, but maybe I haven't identified competitors, and perhaps for this one, it's not necessary. So we can hit next stage, and this will take us to propose. I have identified the sales team. It's going to be myself, but I've not yet developed a proposal. So let's start by going to opportunity lines and entering in some information. In opportunity lines, you have project-based lines and product-based lines. I'm doing a project-based opportunity, so I'm going to add a project-based line over here. So this is going to be a discovery line. I know my customer budget for this one is going to be $20,000, and the billing method will be fixed price. As you can see again, unsaved. So let's save and close this. And this will show up in the grid in just a moment, as you can see. Perfect. So we have our project-based line, which is discovery, fixed price, with a budget amount of $20,000. But let's say we're ready to go and make a quote, and I'm done with my opportunity lines. So I'm going to come over here into quotes, and I'll hit this plus to make a new quote. What's great about creating a new quote when you already have opportunity lines is that you can see that it's taken some of the information that I entered in from the opportunity line. For example, the total amount of 20,000. And when I click into quote lines from the summary page, you'll see that I already have one line. So this saves time if you don't want to create a full quote, but you do have some information. You can add in some opportunity lines and they'll be automatically included in any quote that you create under this opportunity. So let me add some more lines. Now that we know a bit more, we know that they want a discovery. They also are going to want analysis and build. So let me add that now. Same billing method of fixed price. And I don't want to associate a project here yet. I also can either keep this quoted amount as 0, perhaps I'm not sure yet, or I can change it to something like 15,000. And if you're doing top-down quoting, this is where you would likely end. You're going to just put your information in here and probably not tie it to a project and add more details, but I'll get to that in just a moment. So let's save and close this one. And then I'm going to add one more line, which is going to be for the build. So let's just add one new quote line. And this time I'll show you that you can keep that quoted amount at 0 if needed. Let's add here a build task. Make sure this is fixed price as well. And I'm going to keep this at 0. Great. Now I have 3 quote lines on this quote, and I have the different amounts over here. You can see that it has rolled up to this total amount in the top in the header. Let's go back into the discovery. This is the one that we got from our opportunity line. And let's go through what some of these tabs mean. If we click onto chargeable roles, we'll see the different roles that are available in our system. There are lots of different ones. They might not all be relevant to this quote or to this project, but you can see if they're chargeable or non-chargeable. Right now, these are all chargeable, so they'll be charged to the client. Very similar thing with categories. I don't have any categories in here right now, but these could be things like airfare or hotels, and this determines whether or not this is chargeable. I'm going to skip over quote line details for just a moment and go to invoice schedule. If you'll see up here, this says the sum of the amount in billing milestones, $0, must be equal to the line amount, $20,000. And that's referring to this invoice schedule here and the milestones. So if you were to set up an invoice frequency, and you can search for specific ones here, right now we have monthly. And if you want to do a monthly one, and you could start it on whichever date you prefer, you could generate periodic milestones, and it would do that based on what you set up here. The last tab that we're going to show today is customers. As you'll see, it brought in my City Power and Light Assembly account, which is the only customer on this quote, but you can also add other customers and split the billing as appropriate. Okay, I'm going to go back to general, and this time I will associate a project. But first, how do we get this project? Where does this project come from? So I'm going to look into the project area. In project operations, there are a couple different areas. If you're in a sales team, you probably are only going to stay in the sales team. This is where you're going to do your work. But because I have administrative privileges on this account, I can go into projects and see sort of the view from the project manager realm. So let's click on projects. And I already have one project in here. Let's say that I've already discussed with the project manager this specific client needs, and they've developed a project and a WBS for me. So as you can see, this project is in the quote stage, which is where we're at right now. And it has the customer, and it also, if we click on tasks, is going to have a work breakdown structure that's appropriate for this project. So my lovely project manager has created a discovery top level task with a few different subtasks on here. These are generic resources, and so these are just the roles. And they have the effort hours as well. If we wanted to look at the estimates, it's also going to have some of the cost pricing in here, as you can see up in the header. But because this is associated with a cost price list in the background. Okay, so now that we know what this project looks like, we can go associate it with the quote that we've been working on. So I'm going to go back to the sales area. I'm going to click on quotes, and I'm going to find my quote that I've been working on. There we go. So let me go back to quote lines. Before I actually go back to quote lines, let me go to project price list and make sure that this is the right price list. So right now it's gone to the default price list. I actually don't want this one though. And this is because I don't think it has all of my resources that I'm going to use on here. So instead I'm going to add a new one. And we can just search right here. If you hit enter, it'll show you all of them. And these are going to show you all the sales price lists that you can use. I have a project price list, and this is the one I want to have for this specific quote. I'm going to go back to quote lines, click into discovery, just double click on there. And then I'm going to go now associate that project that we just saw. What's great is because we just clicked on it, it shows up in recent, and I can do this and then click save. What I can do now is go to this one that we did not look at earlier, quote line details. And what I can do is import from project estimation. This is going to take the information that I have in that WBS and bring it into the quote. So I'm going to keep these all as no, and I wanted to do this leaf node. Great, so I've pulled in the information. You can see that there's a price and an amount based on the quantity, and it tells you where the origin of them are, which are the different tasks. Let's save and close this whole thing, and we can see it roll up to the quote. So now instead of $20,000, this extended amount becomes $18,200, and the total amount changes as well. Great. Okay, so I've decided that this is what I want on my quote. I can now go back to the opportunity, and if you want to get back to the opportunity quickly, you can go to Summary and find Opportunity right here. Click on that hyperlink, and we're back to the opportunity. We can look at quotes really quickly to see where we just came from. You can see the total amount and the different profitability and such. You can go back to Propose and say, yes, we've developed our proposal. Let's just say we've also completed the internal review and we presented the proposal to the client. Now we can move to the next stage. Now we've gone from Propose over to Close. Let's say that that quote ends up being our final proposal. So we can check this as being complete. We've also presented that to the client. And let's say the decision date is going to be 10/5. Okay. We can also send thank you and file debrief. Perfect. Now we can click Finish. Let's go click into this quote and say that we've won it. At the top here, you'll see there are a couple different options. We can close as won or close as lost. We did pretty well, so let's close this as won. Client has agreed. And let's close this as won, and you'll see in just a moment what this will do to the quote. Great. So now instead of a quote, we see that this is an order. It is changed from a quote to an order, which is the same thing as a project contract. And you'll see that this over here is highlighted instead of quote being highlighted. Let's go back to the opportunity. And we can close the opportunity as won now that the quote has been closed as won. Let's say the actual revenue on this ends up being that 3,200 number, or 32,000, excuse me. And we can close this opportunity. This is now going to become, have the status of won, as you can see over here and up here, and it will become read-only, so you do not make any more changes to this. So now, since this quote was won and my opportunity has been created, the operations team is notified with a Power Automate flow that work on this contract can begin. So we go over to project contracts, we can see that order again, and we'll see that it's this data analysis and design. So now the team knows that this project can start, that it's been signed off on and agreed to, and all the work that will be occurring will be accumulating against this project contract, and then invoices can be generated off of this, like I showed you, the completion of the milestones, or periodically, depending on how the project and the contracts are set up. So we can go to contract lines, and we can do that for this discovery one. We can go into this invoice schedule. And let's just say we do want to do this monthly. And we're going to start on the 11th. We can hit generate periodic milestones. Did not work. Okay, so we're going to just say milestone 1, not going to be based on a task. We're going to have it, let's say November 1st, and it will be for the entire amount. There will just be, there'll just be 1 on this entire order. Save and close that. And now those milestones are ready to be billed when it becomes November. Okay. So a couple of things to note on this is we've reached this order stage. And now that my workflow is completed, I can be confident that the project operations team will take this and do a great job to deliver this project while I develop more leads and start the whole process all over again. So thank you so much for watching me go through leads to opportunities to quotes and all the way to project contracts.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We appreciate all that work you did in putting together this demonstration. We look forward to having all of you who have joined us for this session on additional sessions in the future. We'll be covering lots of other topics in project operations, modern project management tools and techniques, the use of AI, the use of low code, the use of business intelligence tools to really ramp up the way that we deliver projects and work inside the organization. With that, we're going to wrap up today. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much for attending with us and joining us for this webinar.